Star Wars: The Acolyte 2, Season 2, potential addressed by Disney executive. Fans shouldn't hold their breath for a follow up to 2024's The Acolyte. Well, I guess this is not surprising news. I know there are people who enjoy The Acolyte. I didn't really like it all that much, just to be honest with you. There are far better Star Wars TV shows out there, like The Mandalorian. Um, Even Ahsoka, I think was better. That outshine Obi-Wan. All of them, have their strengths and weaknesses, but The Acolyte for me was kind of the weakest, right? So I'm not shocked, and I'm sure many of you are not shocked that it's not returning for a second season, but let's find out why. Alan Bergman, co-chair of Disney Entertainment, he sat down with Vulture and revealed the exact reason why a second season for Star Wars: The Acolyte wasn't greenlit. I wonder what that could be. Let's find out. And why it won't happen anytime soon. Despite solid reviews from critics and strong initial ratings. Really? Strong initial ratings? The viewership declined throughout the Acolyte's run and was met with a lukewarm response from audiences. That's being nice. That's being nice. According to Bergman, the choice came down to one simple metric. Get this: the cost. That's right. Money. It always comes down to money, ladies and gentlemen. The executive revealed, "We are happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title. Quite frankly, to go and make a season two." Yeah, that's right. Star Wars is expensive. Star Wars is big budget. That's why Star Wars really works far better, to be honest with you, on the silver screen. So that's the reason why we didn't do that, he said. Despite solid reviews from critics and strong initial ratings, the viewership declined throughout the series run and was met again with lukewarm response from audiences. So they just repeated the same line there twice, and I have no idea why they did that. But the fact of the matter is that people weren't watching. Okay, ratings were low, reviews were bad. People had a lot of complaints. Mind you, I did talk to people that liked it, and I'm glad that they liked it. But it wasn't enough to save the title. It wasn't enough to save the show. And again, Star Wars is expensive. A budget for a Star Wars TV show is probably the same as a budget for not a Star Wars movie, but a smaller movie. You know what I mean? All the costumes, the props, the actors, the special effects, yada yada. The Acolyte was very decisive amongst fans, many of whom took issue with the diverse cast, accusing of having an overly progressive political agenda. Well, I mean, if a spade's a spade, I guess. I mean, there was some of that in there. You can't tell me that there wasn't. The controversy prompted many to assume that this was perhaps the reason behind the show's cancellation. Well, if people aren't watching, and that's the reason why they're not watching, then yes, it'd be part of the show's cancellation. Even with many fans embarking on numerous efforts to save the show from a premature ending, including starting a petition, they were not enough to convince Disney to sign off on another season. No, because these things cost, and it says right here, as the series costs more than $230 million, man. I was going to say millions, $230 million to make this show. It has to turn a profit. It has to be a hit. It's Star Wars, for God's sakes. If your Star Wars is floundering, it's lukewarm, as they kept saying, what do you really expect? You expect them to keep throwing spaghetti to the wall to see what sticks, and if it doesn't stick, let's throw it back to the wall and see if it sticks a second time? No, they're going to move on, man. They're going to move on. Disney executives were most likely hoping for a warmer reception amongst audiences before deciding whether or not to continue the series. You think? Created by Leslie Headland, The Acolyte took place about a century before the events of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't a fan of The Phantom Menace either. So I just don't hate one thing. The series chronicled Jedi Master Soul and his former Padawan, Asha and Asaya, investigating the murders of other Jedi Masters. However, the more they delve into the mystery, the more they discover how vulnerable the Jedi's place was in the galaxy as the dark side grows in power. For this series, Helen wanted to question the status quo of the Star Wars universe while also exploring untold paths. Yeah, well, that was kind of part of the problem. Was that you wanted to change canon. Star Wars fans are very fickle about that. We don't like the fact that the novels and all the canon that came before Disney basically just got chucked to the wayside. Your Star Wars movies would have been cooler if you just did Heir to the Empire. Okay, that's just how I feel. They tell IGN, why would this happen this way? Why did Qui-Gon make the decision he made? How did Darth Sidious become Chancellor without Yoda? One of the most powerful Jedi who ever lived, knowing about it? I think that those questions were just also hanging out there. So this is where I think you start. No, not at all. The reason why Yoda couldn't pick up on Palpatine is because the dark side was that good at camouflaging itself that it works best when it's right under your nose. Okay, you're talking about a Sith Lord who rivals the power of Yoda. They are going to have ways to mask themselves, and mask himself he did. Okay, that's just the lore and the seduction of the dark side. Before the news of the show's cancellation, Headland had numerous plot ideas for a potential season 2, expressing interest in featuring more characters of the High Republic era Star Wars canon. Probably not going to work. Unfortunately, not only was the Acolyte canceled before Headland could develop these series concepts further, but also left fans with several major questions that are unlikely to be answered anytime soon, such as Darth Plagueis' plan, the Stranger Sith name, Mother Corral's fate, and more. Despite the Acolyte's cancellation, Disney has several more shows lined up, including Andor Season 2. Ask Tom, is it better than Andor? That's all you got to do. Ahsoka Season 2 and Star Wars Vision Season 3. If they continue to be popular among fans, will that convince Disney executives enough to bring Acolyte back? No. Or maybe address the unresolved plot points in another series? Possibly. And that's even if you wish to follow up on that. I would say we can just forget the Acolyte happened, as I think many people do. And, it's too bad because I'm a Star Wars fan. I want cool Star Wars shows. But if your stuff isn't going to be a hit, then don't keep making it, right? Disney Star Wars has gone through a lot of struggles. They've had a couple of hits with Baby Yoda, The Mandalorian being their biggest hit, right? Rogue One was actually kind of a decent movie. But they had a lot of misses, like The Acolyte, like Solo, like Boba Fett. That was bad. Okay? Objectively bad. So you got to, with Star Wars, I think you need to go back to basics. And I don't mean like Luke Skywalker basics, but you need to go back to basics. We need to go back to, let's end the Mandalorian thing that you got going on with Ahsoka, because you have this whole tie-in stuff. Let's end that, right? In a nice, one final series or something like that. Then I would probably leave Star Wars alone for the live action stuff for a little bit. You can still do, the animated stuff, but I would concentrate on a brand new Star Wars trilogy. You've talked about bringing Rey back. Why not actually do that? Throw in with Chewbacca, get R2D2, get C-3PO, and hell, even throw Baby Yoda on her lap. It's probably not going to be a very good movie, I know. But what I'm saying is, you can't keep going back to Luke Skywalker, and you can't keep going back to the before times. We actually got to advance the story, right? So if you have the cast, you have characters that can make a return, even without the original actors, right? Kenny Baker, Chewbacca and whatnot. You can still fulfill those roles. They're great characters. They bring nostalgia, but you can have them intermingle with the new characters. Maybe you bring back Finn. I don't know. But yes, because there was nothing wrong with the characters of those movies. In fact, The Force Awakens wasn't even a bad movie. It's just what came after that with Rian Johnson, all right? You left J.J. Abrams to do his thing. Maybe it would have been okay, but by the time J.J. Abrams came back, it was sort of already ruined, right? So I would go back to basics, man. And speaking about going back to basics, let's go back to basics with a word from our sponsor. And just who is the sponsor of today's video? Well, it's me, Austin. It's been me all along. And guys, I just want to quickly point out that I too am a comic book creator. I just don't speak it. I produce it, right? It's like put your money where your mouth is. We do that each and every time we have a release. I've been doing this now for a decade. We're published. We're in comic book shops and we're on eBay. So if you ever want to check out NYOBI and you haven't yet, one of the best ways to do that is to come by our eBay store. Take a little scroll through here. If you type in Nyobicomics, you'll find it. Of course, link will be in the description of the video. I have all kinds of great back issues and hard to find variants here from artists that you know and love, like Jamie Tyndall, Elsie Frita, Steph Wilson, Paul Green, John Stinsman of Evangeline fame, Keith Garvey, and so many more, guys. If you're missing out on some Nyobi back issues, if you're looking for that hard to find variant, chances are you're going to find the best deal right here on eBay. And chances are you're going to find that deal directly through me. And as always, if you do order a book from me, I'll throw in a little extra goodies in there, a little tchotchke package of stickers and bookmarks and cards. Oh my. You'll have all that. Plus, you can have your book signed or unsigned. That is up to you. And keep an eye on this page because I do update it fairly frequently with new items all the time. As something sells, I will put it back up. So, guys, today's sponsor, Nyobicomics, the eBay store. Come check it out.